Hey gang, I'm back. Back to my place that I love. Okay. And just doing a whole lot of thinking, and I know a lot of you that know me know that there's a whole lot of stuff that I'm going through. Not just personal, work related, just a whole lot of life stuff, which happens. There are seasons in life, and this happens, and it makes me think about a whole lot of different stuff. And I mean, this channel is transcending leadership, and how do I blend this in with leadership? Well, question that I have is, are you leading yourself? That's a thought that came to me, about self leadership. Do we lead ourselves? And one of the main aspects of being a leader is having emotional intelligence. Okay, so you have self-awareness, being aware of your emotions and how they impact you, how they impact your mood. There's self-regulation, how you regulate those emotions so that there's no negative impact. And then there's motivation, is channeling those emotions into a goal, into a positive role. And then there's empathy, is recognizing those emotions in other people, to help other people. And I've always said that leadership, the number one priority of every leader is to develop other leaders. As a leader, that leaves us kind of flat. How do we develop ourselves? And I have to say, lately, with everything going on in my life, that I have leaned on my leader. And I know some of you are going to roll your eyes at this, but I've leaned on my faith. I've leaned on my God. 61 years of walking on this planet, and all of the seasons and all of the challenges that I've been through in my life. Whenever it was me figuring out what to do, it always got messed up. When I gave it up to my God, that's when things worked out. And even with my transition, I always say, before I came out to anybody, I prepared myself for the worst, that this person is going to leave my life. And I also prayed, to make sure that everything goes right. And at this point, I have not been disappointed. There's been no negativity. So, usual trolls, but they're keyboard trolls that live in their mother's basement. I don't care. So this is a season where I'm doing that. I'm taking advice from my leader. And when I didn't, that's when things happen. That's when my emotions and my psyche and my just everything mentally, I had a breakdown. And then going to the doctor, and congratulations, you have gastritis, and medications and things. So it impacted me psychologically, impacted me physically. So now I'm listening to myself, self-awareness. And I'm just learning to listen more and find out also, where am I going? What is my purpose? I've always loved teaching, and I've always loved the fact of, seeing the spark in somebody's eyes. And I'm leaning on that. And that has always been a positive. So yes, part of this is a shameful plug. A lot of you guys know I do presentations I've done for hospitals and, medical schools, as well as corporations, and I've done panel discussions. I've done all of that stuff. And that's my life. That's my purpose. And that's where I feel I am being led. So if you know anybody who has a business or an organization you want me to speak at, LGBT and transgender awareness and dispelling myths, and even talking about leadership and stuff like that, by all means, just let me know. I'll be there. But it comes back to, again, the faith, leaning on the faith, being quiet. asking God, you know, where should I go, and actually giving it up, which is something that we as human beings do not do. You know, when I was doing the ministry work and a whole lot of, Bible studies and messages and things like that, I always said, what we do is, like, if I were to hand somebody a pen and say, take this from me, and they try and take it, but I'm still holding on to it, and I keep on saying, just take it, just take it. That's what we do. We still hold on. And I have to take my own advice and let go. And just do that, and just know, because I know that I am a child of a loving God, full of grace and unconditional love, and I know that my God does not want me to suffer, and just wants me to spread His word, spread God's word, and the best way to do that is by setting the example. So, I think that this is a lesson in having emotional intelligence, in leadership. This is a leadership lesson. We always talk about being a leader in the workplace and, all of these things, and a leader has followers and all of this, and what do you do and how do you do, and you have authoritarian leadership and laissez-faire leadership and, servant leadership, all of this stuff, but who leads the leaders? Who leads the leaders? That's where faith comes in. So, it's a lesson. It's a leadership lesson. Right now, if you're a leader and you have people following you, who leads you? And do you have self-awareness? Do you have the emotional intelligence to know when to pull back and say, I need my time? Questions every leader needs to ask. So, just thought of the day. Okay? And I guess I'll be speaking to you soon. Just remember, we have to be glorious. We have to live this life, this blessing that we've been given. We have to live it gloriously. Because up until the very end, the future's up. It's what we make it. So, have a great day and be blessed, everyone. Bye.